Let's look at Hurricane Nora, and the latest advisory has the center of Nora at 20.2 north, 113.2 west, and that is 280 miles to the southwest of the southern tip of Baja California, with maximum sustained winds now down a bit at 110 miles an hour, with the movement to the northwest at 9 miles an hour. We still have various watches and warnings in effect. First of all, hurricane warnings in effect for the islands, Socorro Island, although this now is going to be dropped later on today as Nora is now moving up north of the islands. So our attention now is going to be focused on Baja California, where we do have hurricane watches in effect in the area here, indicated in red, from Punta Eugenia on southward, and then tropical storm warnings in effect here for the very southern tip of Baja California, where we do have the warnings. That's where we expect tropical storm force winds within the next 24 to 36 hours. And eventually this area here probably will become under a warning situation, so we'll continue to keep that updated for you. We also have coastal flood warnings in effect along the coastline of Mexico from Mazatlan to Punta Estrecha, and that is going to continue to be the case as long as Nora is in this area, as we are seeing large waves and also some flooding conditions. We have been getting some heavy rain as well, flooding rains in Cabo San Lucas, with the outer rain bands as they continue to rotate around Hurricane Nora. At this point, still heading to the northwest, but we are expecting that to change within the next 24 hours, as a trough now is going to be steering Nora a bit more to the north, and Nora should be along the coastline of central Baja within the next 40 hours, and by 72 hours be into Arizona by about the afternoon, late afternoon hours on Thursday, just beginning to move through southern Arizona, and still as a tropical storm, so 50-mile-an-hour winds not out of the question, but will be dying down as it continues to move into the inland areas. The big problem that we do expect to see with Nora, however, will be a lot of rainfall for Arizona, and that should begin within the next 72 hours. So we will keep you posted on this situation as it
Weather Channel. No place on Earth has better weather.
And it's time now for our tropical update, and we're starting with the very latest information on Hurricane Nora, and this just in from the National Hurricane Center. The center of Nora now at 20.4 north, 113.6 west, which is 290 miles to the southwest of Cabo San Lucas in Mexico. Maximum sustained winds are down just a bit, now at 105 miles an hour. Movement to the northwest at 7 miles an hour, and that's just a little bit slower than what Nora was doing earlier this morning. We still have coastal flood warnings in effect along the coastline of Mexico from Mazatlan all the way to Punta Estrecha, and we are seeing some very large waves and also some heavy surf here, causing some problems right along the coastline. We also have various watches and warnings remaining in effect. First of all, hurricane warnings for Socorro Island and the islands to the west, although these islands are going to see improving conditions today now that Nora has moved to the north. So now our attention is being focused on Baja California, where we do have tropical storm warnings in the areas here in orange for the southern tip, and hurricane watches in effect here in red for Punta Eugenia on southward. We are expecting very strong winds within the next 24 to 36 hours in these areas. And you can see the latest imagery on Hurricane Nora. the eye a little bit more ragged now, and Nora continuing to move to the northwest. But we're expecting a more northerly turn in the next 12 to 24 hours. We're also seeing some very heavy rainfall along the coastline of Mexico, with earlier flooding rains for the southern tip of Baja California. And remember Hurricane Linda, which was also in the Pacific, that brought some rain to the southwestern portion of the United States? Well, Linda is gone, but not forgotten. In Linda's wake, colder water is now in place, cold upwelling of water, and that is what Nora is now running into, and so is expected to continue to weaken as it now moves to the north. And you can see on some of the latest imagery here a slightly more northerly turn with Nora, and it is going to be affecting portions of the United States, and we'll get to how in just a second. First of all, we have an area of low pressure that is kind of cut off from the main circulation off the coast of California, and that flow is helping steer Nora more to the north as we speak. And we are expecting the center of Nora to cross over the coastline of central Baja California sometime Thursday morning, with maximum sustained winds down to 80 miles an hour, then continue to move up to the north and actually be in northern Arizona with winds at 30 miles an hour by Friday morning. So we're not so much concerned with the winds because it is going to be weakening, but still a lot of moisture will be drawn into the southwestern portion of the U.S., and that spells the possibility of heavy rain for Arizona, and that's just in time for the weekend. Now let's go ahead and
I think
move
that we
on.
can see it turning a little bit more toward the north. In any case, we expect that to happen tonight and tomorrow. And then beginning tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow night, we expect to see it accelerate a little bit. That is, to go quite a bit faster, probably making landfall somewhere up here in the middle of the Baja, and then headed up towards the southwestern part of the United States. And that could mean some very heavy rains beginning sometime tomorrow in the southwest, tomorrow night, perhaps Arizona, perhaps even southeastern California. We'll have to check on that and keep you updated. In any case, it's going to be a lot weaker than it is now. Top winds are 90 miles an hour, and once it gets mixed up with land, and once it gets north of 25 degrees, it's going to get over cooler water, so we feel pretty confident of the weekend. We don't expect that to come into southwestern United States as a hurricane, and hopefully not even as a tropical storm, but we'll keep you advised on that as time goes by. In the meantime, we now have out a hurricane watch and tropical storm warnings from Punta Eugenia south all the way around the Baja and up the eastern side. Now, the orange here is a tropical storm warning, and where you see the darker colored, that there is a tropical storm warning there also, but a hurricane watch as well. We still have out some high surf advisories, coastal flood warnings from Mazatlan down to just northwest of Manzanillo. That's because of surges, high tides and high waves that have already been generated by the hurricane. Here we have a very high resolution visible picture. These pictures taken in frequent intervals, about 15 minutes apart. And looking at that the last couple hours, I think I can see a little bit more movement toward the north than what we've been seeing, and that's exactly what we expected to see. Also, we might note on the visual picture there that the eye is pretty well filled with clouds. These are lower clouds in there, and as we take a look at the infrared picture, which is coming up here, you'll see that we don't have a lot of deep clouds right around the circulation center. We have some here to the south. Might also point out that over this very warm water in the Gulf of California, we have some very heavy showers and thunderstorms that have developed this afternoon. The wind right here at Cabo San Lucas has been blowing up to sustained winds about 35 miles an hour out of the south. But we expect the center of this hurricane to pass well to the west anyway of Cabo San Lucas. Now, we'd like to show you this vapor, water vapor loop here to show you what is happening in the upper atmosphere. And we can see on that this trough, as we describe it, is digging down, and it's getting down fairly close to where the hurricane is. And that is the mechanism we think that will come into play to begin to move this hurricane more towards the north. And we really do expect to see that happen right away. So again, some threat for very heavy rain here in the southwestern part of the United States, and you want to stay tuned for that, folks in that area, and we'll keep you updated. But again, we want to emphasize that we will not be a hurricane by the time it gets up there, and hopefully it'll be weakening to below tropical storm strength, but we'll just have to wait and see how that develops. Now, in the Atlantic, we